Hi, everyone. Welcome to Evolved Being. I am Sheena. I am here to talk to you today about relationships. I'm doing a mini series on relationships, and I wanted to just hone in on the different types of relationships because I think a lot of times, there's all this great information about what's going on with the self, what's going on in relationship with others, what's going on in terms of our relationship to divinity, our relationship to our family, our relationships that are romantic, our relationships with our children, but we don't always break it down. And I think they're all different. And it kind of leads me to that whole idea about love being so much more dynamic than one word gives it credit for. And I know in a lot of other cultures, there is many more words for love. And in our culture, we tend to sort of lump it all together. And then we identify with love according to maybe what we grew up, how we were loved, how we seen our parents love one another, how we seen our parents not love one another, how we seen TV portray love, how we seen our friends, and all of that. There's a lot going on, and I think breaking it down, especially in this day and age where we've got all this self-realization and where we talk so much about just that self-love, as well as having healthy relationships. I'll tell you this, one of my therapists that I went to for a while was also a marriage and family counselor. And he always told me that, and it's so sad to hear this, but that people did not go to him to receive therapy until it was far too late, he said. So often it had already passed the point where a breakup or where the relationship had sort of lost the ability to rebuild or fix it. So, I think if we grow up in the right spaces and if we teach the right things and if we start practicing now the important aspects and concepts and values associated with healthy relationships, then we have a better ability to affect the future and our relationships in the future. And we all come from different places, right? And I know I'm not just speaking for myself because I've been in the world of, psychology and therapy and counseling and my friends, and we have deep conversations and yoga and all this other stuff where you do have a lot of conversations with people. And I'll tell you, especially in my generation of people, there's a lot of people who are still recovering from the relationships that of their past and of past, so, lives that weren't even theirs beforehand. So that's why I'm talking about it, and that's why I find it, so important. And I went on and on to kind of introduce more relationships. And today I really just wanted to talk about the relationship with the self. And we will talk about all the different relationships. I think I'll have about 5 episodes for this, but today I want to talk about self, and I want to break down what self-love is, what self-love isn't, and really how to identify with the authentic parts of our soul and our that inner being, and how to really start to connect with that. And I believe it's so important right now because we are in an age where we are evolving very fast. The world is very chaotic. And if we don't know ourselves, if we don't have a strong relationship with the self, it's very easy to get swept up into all these different influential energies. And if you already have a little bit of trauma, if you already have a lot of bit of trauma, if you already have some mental disorders that you're dealing with, if you have some PTSD, if you already have, say, an immune disorder or a stress response that's not as strong as maybe you'd like, or if you have overwhelm or just a lot of stress in your life, or if you have many children or hard jobs, or you have 2 jobs or 3 jobs, or difficult relationships, or you're going through divorce, all these things, they weigh on us and they take us down. They take our nervous system down. They take our mental energy down. They drain our physical energy. And if we don't know who we are, if we can't identify with ourselves, if we don't got a strong relationship with ourselves, those things can take us. And we might spend half a life, a full life, just trying to get out of those influential energies that took us down. And I'm here to say I don't think we have to do that, although, some of us are, not going to be able to get, past it for a long time, and it may take a lifetime, and that's okay too. But I do believe if we start opening up these conversations now, we start building the tools, building the value systems, creating those concepts in our hearts, in our souls, in our authentic selves, we're passing those on to the people around us, then we have the ability to make that change and really start to say, you know what, as I'm growing up as an individual, when I'm a young child, when I'm growing up, who am I? What do I want? Who am I in comparison to the friends at school that I'm growing up in? Who am I compared to my parents as I start to grow my own identity? How do I communicate to people what I feel when what somebody else is telling me isn't really feeling right to me? How do I do those things? And for those of us that aren't young children right now, and we're still building that relationship with ourselves, where do we start? Where do we start? And then where do we pass that on? Let's say if we are raising young children, or if we're younger already, and we're trying to figure it out and we're not there yet. And I would say writing things down as we get older and we have that ability to write and to really communicate with ourselves in that self-reflective way. I heard something recently because I listened to a lot of David Hawkins, and gosh, he's just wonderful. If you have not gotten a chance to listen to him, sometimes you want to, his information is so good that sometimes you don't even want to tell people about it because you don't want them to know how good this stuff is, because you want to feel like the smart one. But I'm not that smart. I learned it from everybody else. And yeah, the information's out there, guys. It's out there to teach us, to tell us, these little less suffering ways of life. If we want it, it's there, and all we do have to do is ask for it and intend for it. But he was saying, instead of being meditative or focusing so much on meditation and these sorts of tools, or looking for our specialized guru, or reading a million different self-help books, that if we are contemplative in our practice, in ourself, that we'll really get far, because the answers do lie within us, and we have access to all those answers all the time. So in terms of finding the self, finding the relationship with the self, it does require some contemplation. It takes sitting a little bit still with ourselves. It doesn't mean we have to sit there and not think for hours on end, although that might be our path to get there. It's really more about thinking about our life, thinking about it. What did I do today? Was I happy with the moves I made? Was I happy with the words I spoke? Did I even hear the words I spoke? Can I sit down at the end of my night and say, I feel good about my day. I feel good about who I was and who I showed up as and my interactions with people. Can we look at it and say, hey, I don't feel good about that. How do I shift it so I don't feel that way again? Am I looking at it at all? That contemplation, we all know what's right inside, right? We all know how to connect to that healthy, and it's not morals, but it is morals a little bit, because it's not like this specific, you have to act like this and behave like this and sound like this sort of thing. And it's all encompassing. It can be no matter what religion you are. It can be no matter what, yoga practice you practice, or whatever style of life, or whatever career path you're in, or whatever age you're in. It could really be all of that at the same time, and we could really dig deep within ourselves and find those relationships and kind of start there, and think about our lives, think about who we are, think about who we want to be and who we don't want to be, and really take the time to look. And I think that's a huge factor. And I will tell you, in my growth progress, that's for sure what's been my thing, some people call it overanalyzing, but I don't think so. If I overanalyze and someone doesn't analyze at all, I still think I'm doing a better job. Only because, at least I'm thinking about it, right? Overanalyzing is when we beat ourselves up, when it doesn't serve us anymore, when we're thinking to the point of putting ourselves into not doing, to not acting. So that's that over side of it. And sure, that's totally possible, and that we can get stuck in that. But in between, not analyzing and over analyzing is actually thinking about our lives. And if we're not thinking about our lives at all, we might be doing some weird stuff that we don't want to be doing. So, that's where that relationship comes in. Like, I say, put yourself in the shoes of like what you think the best caretaker, nurturer, unconditional love is, whatever that looks like for you. Perhaps you're a Christian and that's a Jesus love. Perhaps you're a Buddhist and that's a Buddha love. Perhaps you're a mother and it's a mother's love. Perhaps you're, you love animals and it's the animal nurturing love to their children. But whatever it is, look at that and then apply that to yourself. And ask yourself, am I showing up in my life with that relationship to myself? Am I caring for myself that well? Am I loving myself that well? Am I moving in a way that projects how I should be treated by other people, by how I treat myself? And I truly believe that's a really important step for all the other relationships in our life. And that's kind of why that was the one I chose to talk about first. And if you have questions about what that looks like, please write in and talk to me. Go to evolvedbeing.com. Check out what I have to offer. I would love to book a session with you and talk more about what it means to love ourselves and how to get to those places if you're challenged with that. And then, there's a lot of information out there already, free information where you can just go and you can look up good practices to start to build that. And what's another way? Look at relationships that look healthy to you. Look at information about love, about care, about unconditional love that is that source of that natural, the trees and the sky and the sun, and look at that love and ask yourself, apply that to yourself, set the intention there and watch that relationship with yourself grow. And that is what I have for you today. Once again, this will probably be it is going to be 5 series. So I kind of started the first one talking about relationships. Today we're talking about self-love. And then we'll talk a little bit about romantic love, family love, and maybe love with nature and divinity and how to mirror that love in nature as we go on. Once again, I'm Sheena. This is Evolved Being. My intention is always that I live in harmony by doing what I'm blessed with in exchange for a life that fulfills me. And I hope that I'm helping you do that too.